I see a lot of well-meaning advice online or even when people speak to each other, and a lot of people don't realize that people work in order of their priorities. If something's not a priority for you, you just won't bother with it. It can be the world's best thing, it can be great for you, it can be good, but if it's not your priority at that point in time, you simply won't bother with it. The first thing I talk about people improving their life is something must have really gone wrong with them. Because people don't pay to get into heaven, they pay to get out of hell. A situation has become so unbearable for a person that they're willing to do anything to make the pain stop. And you and I both know, for instance, I don't know, something's happened and you're in so much pain, even physical pain. You might be chopping an apple, might be chopping a mango, and the knife goes through you and you're in unbearable pain. You don't think, oh, I'm just going to keep chopping the fruit. You stop. You have to probably, try and submerge the flow. You have to make sure that the hand is not flowing and bleeding any longer. And that's what I usually talk about when it comes to priorities, because priorities are something that nobody decides for us. I mean, unless you come from a lot of control or that type of background, priorities are something we have to choose for ourselves. Priorities is what is important to me at this point in time. And a lot of times, given the type of work I do, given the type of work I perform, people can think they have a priority to do this or do that. Intellectually, we can think we have a priority towards something, but it's not that. Because as soon as we step forward to pursuing that priority, to going ahead with that priority, and somebody tries to hold us accountable, that is the biggest problem in today's world. People have not been held accountable properly by their parents, by their caregivers, by their guardians, so that by this time when you hold someone accountable, they start asking you, who are you to hold me accountable? Because they've never had the proper parenting, the proper discipline, the proper anything that would allow them to hold themselves accountable. If you can't be responsible for something, or you can't even hold yourself accountable, I made myself a promise, I have to show up over there, subconsciously you'll start to disrespect yourself, right? It can be something very small. Oh, I said I was going to do this, but I didn't do it, and then you'll give yourself an excuse, and eventually you can't end up respecting yourself. So when it comes to the topic of priorities and the topic of how people do things, real self-empowerment or real self-improvement is something very few people actually really go down the route. They might, in their perspective, they might read a self-help book, they may choose to attend a seminar or a course or something, but real self-empowerment comes from inside, and it's about, it reminds me of that saying that the more difficult a conversation, the more it needs to be had. So in essence, when you're facing a situation, which a lot of people can't due to lack of courage, they're frightened of confrontation, but confrontation builds opportunity. It builds an opportunity to either completely wipe a relationship out or to start more intelligently, basically. So always think of your priorities and what is important for you at present. What may be important for you at present may not be important for somebody else, and I'm very aware of that. And when I look at somebody, I generally tend to work with people who, for them, changing their life is a priority because, insert the blank, something happened in their life, they lost something. Loss is a very powerful driver towards grief, and then you want to change that energy state. So there can be, there's a lot of people who can come to me frustrated, such and such a person said this, but because they don't really want to change. But change is not something that you look for from the outside. Change is internal, and when you meet the right person who can be a sounding board to you, can help you move forward, then the change comes. As I've always said, clarity doesn't come in months and years, it comes in minutes and seconds.